It's actually the 100th episode of this.
Yay!
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 Right, everybody
Yay.
celebrate. Everybody have a cup of Yorkshire
Yay!
tea.
We have unlocked an achievement.
I don't do achievements. Anyway, we're going to quickly touch on some news stories. On not microtransactions, on acquisitions. Yeah, Francesco's favorite. Acquisitions, then Ubisoft, then Valve, and then just quickly touch the most anticipated games of the year. I'm sure we've all got a few. I mean, I really know that Francesco's looking forward to Pinball FX.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Waited for a long time for that.
And I'm really looking forward to Bikini Bounce Simulator 5. I don't even know if that's a real game.
You can just play Dead or Alive when it's the same.
Yeah, there you go. I
Yeah.
reviewed that. So anyway, let's get started quickly. Acquisitions. Let's get that out of the way because we know Francesco. I think we've spoken about it too much anyway. Google and Nvidia, they don't like the deal now. They really had time to speak in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting development because so far, basically, the only major player to speak against the deal, openly at least, was Sony, for obvious reasons. But now there is a credible report from Bloomberg saying that Nvidia and Google also share their own concerns with regards to the deal. And basically, they both cited, the main concerns that even the FTC and other regulators have been saying, which is that Microsoft would gain an unfair advantage on cloud gaming, subscriptions, and whatever.
Of course they would.
And but it's interesting though because the report also says that Nvidia isn't actually opposed to the deal. It's more like they're saying that the games need to have equal and open access to everyone. So basically, the way I'm translating this is that they want Microsoft to kind of allow the games on GeForce Now. That's my take personally, because that's the only thing that makes sense. Otherwise, I don't see why Nvidia would be opposed. But if you recall, Nvidia had Activision Blizzard games on GeForce Now when it was in beta, and then when it got removed because basically at that point Activision Blizzard wanted a commercial deal, I guess, and so basically I think Nvidia is like saying, Microsoft, if you want our support on this, then bring them back to GeForce Now.
Again, I think that's very cheeky by Nvidia because they just want access to all the games for free. It's like, yeah, you are commercially benefiting from this, Nvidia. You can't really justify saying you must give us everything for free so we can make money off it.
Yeah, it's true, and but
I
of course
rarely side with Activision Blizzard on anything, but I just did then. Oh, I must be ill.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know. It's kind of a tricky topic because if you see it in a way, I mean, for example, when you use Shadow, I don't think Shadow has like a proper commercial deal with Activision Blizzard. You can also see it as, people are just using a PC, only it's not their PC, it's being rented and it's in the cloud, but they still need to buy the game from the maker. So I don't see why you wouldn't give them access, Personally, I think it would be great if more developers and publishers joined cloud gaming, Nvidia's cloud gaming at least, because to play it you don't even actually require paying. There is the free tier, which is of course limited, but you can technically play for free. And of course, you have to buy the game first. So I don't see what's the issue, honestly. But
yeah, I suppose that's yeah.
The issue is money. They want more money.
The issue's always money. The issue is always money. It's a weird one because, like you say, if you own the game, I don't agree with anybody stopping you from being able to play it. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one.
And well, I think Google is even weirder because you could say that if this was a couple of years ago, it would have been more understandable. Like Google is worried about Stadia, but Stadia is dying in 3 days.
They're going to be they're releasing Stadia too soon, clearly.
And I don't really know what. It's anybody's guess why they are opposing this deal at this point, unless they are just retaliating for Microsoft siding with Epic on the the Play Store fight.
Potentially.
I guess it could be that, or the Stadia technology is being licensed to third parties, so it's in that way others will potentially use it. So maybe that's another angle. I don't know, but that's the news. And also, well, Microsoft reached out to a bunch of outlets, including ours, and they provided the statement saying they are, interested in addressing and proactively addressing issues raised by regulators and competitors. So basically, and they also stress they want people to have more access to games, not less. So, based from this statement, it sounds like they are ready to give more concessions to both regulators and publishers, other companies in the gaming space to make sure this happens. So maybe they are eager to make a deal, so to speak. And
well, God knows.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's it's madness. They're just all bitching and fighting for the sake of it. Probably. I always said though that was the major concern I had with the acquisition about cloud gaming, because the second Microsoft does all that, cloud gaming isn't here yet, not properly. As I've said all along, we haven't got the infrastructure yet. But if Microsoft own all the IPs, just obviously not everyone in the world, but for argument's sake, Microsoft own all the IPs, their cloud system is obviously going to be, they're just going to have a monopoly, simply because people will think, well, the only way I'm going to be able to play all these games is by having the Microsoft cloud. And that's always going to be the risk. Yeah. And
we'll see.
Yeah.
We have I think both the UK and the EU regulators will render basically their own take on April. So in 3 months basically, and but we still have to wait for the FTC's trial, where the actual hearing will begin in August. So it's well past the earlier closure date of June.
Yeah.
So it will take some time.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't see a great deal coming from it.
Let's see.
We'll never be free of this fog.
Yeah, don't worry, Francesco. We'll still be talking about this in about 3 years' time.
Sure. By the way, I found it funny that both Nvidia and Google complain about a company potentially becoming a market dominator, since that's what they are already, both of them.
Well, that's the real issue. They just don't. It's all about. It's just all about competition. They don't want competition. None of them want competition. Doesn't matter if it's Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, whoever. None of them want competition.
Yeah, well, the thing is, this is all big dogs fighting. It's not like there is a small dog to cheer for, right? They're all. So
I'm cheering for the smallest of dogs. Me. They're all wankers.
Yeah. Well, speaking about a slightly smaller dog, but
I
still.
thought you were going to say speaking about wankers then. I'm like, well, no, not today. Not that sort of podcast.
No. Ubisoft. Well, they
Oh, so we are speaking
aren't.
about wankers.
They aren't doing too hot right now. Let's put it that way. And
What a surprise.
I'm
well,
shocked.
basically, they apparently they were banking on Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope doing billions of copies.
What?
And no, but they said they are underwhelmed by the sales so far. And,
It's a Switch-only game. And yes, the Mario IP is big, but it's a strategy game.
It's a
As we've
strategy
already
game.
indicated, I'm the only person in the world who likes strategy games. Well, maybe not. Everybody with sense likes Total War. So yeah, me and Henry Cavill. That's about it.
And yeah, so basically they also canceled quite a few titles, 3 games to be specific, and
Okay.
they also delayed again Skull and Bones for the
I am
6th time.
shocked.
Wow,
I
what
am
a surprise! What a surprise!
And
You do realize that's never releasing.
no, I think it is releasing.
Yeah, they have to because they have an agreement with the Singapore government, so they will have to get it out eventually.
No,
Yeah.
you do realize that's never having a full, proper, massive release. It's just going to get farted out.
Yeah, just get it out, and
It's going to get squirted out like that. What was that game that Square Enix made? I think it was like a
Babylon's
front.
Fall.
No. Before then, it was like a front mission game or something.
Yeah,
It was meant to be a shit metal. It
Left
was
Alive, I think.
That's it.
Left
The shit
Alive,
Metal
I
Gear
think.
clone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's just gonna get farted out like that.
Basically, it's financially it's a big hit because they are basically depreciating capitalized R&D from the cancelled titles for a total of 500 million euros. And also net bookings for 2022-2023 are now expected to go down by 10%, whereas the previous forecast was upside of 10%. That's because of the Skull and Bones delay. And well, on the upside, they said they still have a strong balance sheet of 1.5 billion in cash. So it's not like the company is going under anytime soon.
No,
but
they're not going to go under. It's just that they need to have not shit management.
And on the other hand, we also have a rumor saying that basically they have been shopping for buyers. And well, at least that's what Jeff Grubb said, but he's usually pretty reliable. Apparently, they got laughed at or something. Perhaps he means
10 quid.
Perhaps he means, yeah. How much are you willing to pay? A PS5?
Yeah, I'll trade my PS5 for Ubisoft. I think it's a fair deal. At least they'll release games when I'm in charge. What's this? You want to delay this game? Why? Oh, it's shit. Okay, we can delay it. What, you want to delay this game? To put in microtransactions? Fuck off. Get it released, you silly cunt.
You will be promoting crunch.
I would never promote crunch. As I said, if the game's shit, they can delay it. If they're just wanting to add microtransactions, no. No. And also, if they're just wanting to put in an extra 500, I don't know, Ubisoft,
open world games.
Yeah, if it, what is it, like enemy shelters or enemy fortresses or enemy camps?
Yeah.
There's what's usually littered around Ubisoft games. What's that? You want to increase the delay by 3 months so you can add another island with 50 sodding shelters on and 5 radio towers? No, fuck off.
They don't need that much time. They just copy paste everything.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they'd only need to delay it 3 hours.
Yeah.
On the bright side, they recently said that Assassin's Creed Mirage is a smaller type of game because of fan feedback. So maybe they are listening. Maybe.
No, I don't believe that.
Well, they can't do any worse than the past two Assassin's Creed games.
I really don't.
When it comes to bloat, because
I say
Valhalla is a decent game, but it's
I
bloated
really
as
don't believe it's down to fan feedback. I believe it's down to the fact that they've been making massive games, and a lot of it has been copy pasted. So they will have seen the burnout, but also it's extra work. And I think they're cutting back on the workload so they can release the games quicker.
Yeah, that they have a lot of employees. Like
Yeah,
I think 20,000 or something across the world.
in a business sense, it makes no sense to constantly make every game super massive because you're just adding the workload time, and also you're increasing the risk of bugs and other issues.
Yeah, and also, especially when we have so many games that are doing more with less, like with sandbox features and replayability is higher generally.
Yeah.
So than if you handcraft, I don't know, 1,000 quests. So it's also more cost effective, let's say. So
Then again,
we'll see.
they're actually being sensible in releasing a Settlers game, so. But then again, they'll probably fuck that up as well.
That game was also, I think it was first previewed at Gamescom 2019
Yeah,
by
oh yeah,
Roth.
it's been delayed quite a lot.
We'll see. But, well, they certainly haven't rushed that one.
No, not like
Just,
they've rushed Beyond Good and Evil 2.
oh.
Yeah, watch it being the. Actually, I don't think it would be. It is one of the three cancelled games because it's not. It's an announced game, but
I think I read somewhere that it recently passed Duke Nukem Forever for the most delayed game of all time. So that's
Yeah, well,
anyway.
I mean, we know how good Duke Nukem Forever turned out.
Yeah.
Oh,
This isn't looking well. This isn't looking well at all. I don't think anyone is expecting anything good at this point.
Yeah. Anyway,
oh well.
Francesco, do you want to talk about the Valve leak a bit?
Everything is leaking.
I was just going to say, I've just on the delays. I'm just remembering yet another game that was stuck in development hell, which also turned out very good. Too Human. Oh me, I'm depressed now. Right, let's get to leaks.
So Valve is leaking like an old boat, it seems.
I would more link it to like an open sewage work.
Yeah, well, it's leaking like
because Steam's been essentially a sewer for a long time now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, it's leaking as the most leaky thing you can think about.
A very good analogy there.
Yeah, well, it's leaking. There's a lot of stuff from a lot of Valve games that has leaked, including Portal and Counter-Strike Source. And there's so much stuff out. It's pretty
Team
much
Fortress
everything.
2 as well. Team Fortress.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out, and I don't know how this is going to impact, especially those games that are competitive, like Team Fortress 2 and Counter-Strike. That will be interesting to see if anything changes. But a leak is never good for a game that is a multiplayer game. So
yeah, and also interestingly, the leakers evolved onto these assets for like 7 years or something before leaking. It was, I don't know why exactly. Maybe they were hoping.
Weird.
Maybe they were hoping.
Maybe they tried to blacklist Valve and then
blackmail. Yeah.
Blackmail. Sorry, blackmail Valve, and then they just said, "We don't care." And okay, we'll leak it.
The only problem is, I'm going to say, if they've waited that long, so if they'd have at least grabbed everything within the past few months, at least we could know what Valve are working on, apart from eating chocolates. Well, they're not working on any games. I don't think they've been working on games now
Well,
for
they
long.
actually say they are working on something. Like there were rumors of an Half-Life Alyx sequel and something else. I don't remember, but just rumors for now.
Yeah. Well, we do know they are probably going to do a new Steam Deck. Maybe they will do some games for it. I don't know. We'll see.
They're doing stuff, but it's not what people want. Still, that thing that people want that probably will never get to this point.
I know.
It's not the thing with the
We
dream.
really, really need a Ricochet sequel.
Well, at least Nvidia made a prettier version of Portal, so we have that.
Yeah.
With RTX, Chris, ray tracing.
Who's been racing some trays?
That's with the money to buy those graphics cards.
Is that one of those new kart racing games, but on trays instead of carts?
Yeah.
Oh, somebody should make that game.
Where you control light. You race controlling light and bounce.
There probably has
walls.
been a game like that already.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, that's the news part done. Let's talk. We've got a good 20 minutes. Let's talk the most anticipated games. So, what games are you most looking forward to? I'll let you go first. Let you go first, Francesco.
Oh well.
Select like 3 because.
Yeah.
I'll
Just
go.
3 and a
I'll
brief reason why.
Okay, I'll go with 3. Well, you probably know about 2 of them because we talked about them a lot of times. So the first one is Street Fighter 6. Reason because it finally feels like it's a look back to the Street Fighter basics of old, and it feels like it's that again. Then it's Final Fantasy 16 because it finally looks like they're doing something good with the series and not just open world for the sake of being open world.
We're sharing a game then.
And there's Yoshida behind it, so I haven't played Final Fantasy 14, but everyone says that the story is one of the best things about Final Fantasy 14. So
Well, I reviewed 14, and I mean I reviewed 15, but I enjoyed 14 as well. I played 14.
my
They
main
covered
issues
that.
with my main issue with that is that it's in an MMO, and
Yeah.
it's not that I don't like MMOs. It's just that I fear I just get too much into it, and
I don't have the time for
compulsive
MMOs.
type of. Yeah, so that's why I'm not touching them. That's the main reason. Then for the third one, I'm not going to say Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I don't think it's coming out this year. I think it's going to come out like February next year. I don't see them releasing 2 big Final Fantasy games on the same year. I really don't see them.
If they did, they'd have to release one like February, March, and the other September, October,
Yeah,
November.
yeah. It's just I don't really see that. So I'm just going to go with Star Wars Jedi Survivor because I really like the first one, and
Fair enough.
from what we've seen of the second, it feels like they really have expanded it in a lot of different ways. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's just too bad that they won't allow dismemberment, to be in the game because Disney,
It's
of course.
Disney, yeah. They're never going to. They're never going to allow that. But yeah, everything points out that it is much, much better than the first one, which I really liked. I really liked. Not really an original game. It doesn't do anything different than many others, but I think it's the best Star Wars product that has come out of the Disney era.
Yeah, well, easily. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Chris, want to go next?
See, Final Fantasy is up there. Final Fantasy 16. I think we all know I've been a long, massive fan of Final Fantasy. Well, Final Fantasy that really got me into video games. So, and well, again, I would openly say up until about 13, I was a Final Fantasy fanboy. 13 did sort of just move me out of fanboy to fan, but I still love Final Fantasy. So yeah, I'll share that with Francesco. Final Fantasy 16. As for other two games, I mean, it's a weird one. There's always going to be ones that I'm looking forward to. Company of Heroes 3. I mean, that's coming out very soon, and of course I'm going to look forward to that. It's Company of Heroes, and it's one of the most celebrated strategy game series, despite only having two games in the world.
Yeah.
It's made by Relic, one of the best strategy game developers in the world, published by Sega, which has, well, they have become the best strategy and simulation game publisher in the world. I wouldn't
Yeah.
take any arguments against that because, Total War, there's Company of Heroes, Dawn of War. They've now got the 2 Point simulation games. It's like, and Football Manager, and that's him. It's like you can't, yeah. So yeah, Company of Heroes 2, and I've also had hands on with that game, and I know it's playing great. And
What
then,
about Hogwarts? Yeah,
Mm.
Hogwarts Legacy.
so
Isn't that?
I I am looking forward to that as much as I know that's going to piss so many people off because, hey,
Mm.
I will be the first to say J.K. Rowling's an absolute twat. She is. But, and I know I'm usually the first person to rile against, you can't separate the game from the makers and things like that. And it does gall me that she's going to get even a penny because it's using the Harry Potter IP. But I will still play that game. Well, I think I've made it clear. I will. I do want to review the game.
Yeah.
Um, I just like the Harry Potter stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but it's not one of my most anticipated because there are other games
Oh.
where I'm looking forward to them more. I mean, one
Uh-huh.
I would probably say is a push. One that sticks in my head's Alan Wake 2.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
I always liked Alan Wake. It had its issues, but again,
Yeah.
I think it's no secret how big of a fan of horror games I am.
Is it
It's
coming out this year though? I don't remember.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. They
Hmm.
they
we
they
think
said that.
if it's not
Um.
delayed, it is. So call it 50
Uh,
50.
the thing is, we haven't seen anything
Hmm.
about it yet.
Yeah.
Except for the trailer, but
But
we
again,
don't know any
that's not
specifics.
completely unusual. Some games will announce themselves and they're released 8 months later.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
yeah, I mean, hope if it comes out this year, yeah, Alan Wake 2. I mean, I like, again, it's no secret. If the genres I tend to play the most and what I really like is strategy, simulation, horror. Give me them any day. I'm also not allowing myself to say anything which is a remake or a rebrand or a reimagining or a re whatever. So no Silent Hill 2. But I am, as much as I am really worried about it, I will be playing the living shit out of that. Hello, cat.
Bl- Bluebird team said you can rest easy. It's gonna be
Yes.
fine.
Yes, but every developer says that. No developer's going to say, you know what, we are going to make a completely shit game, but buy it
Yeah,
anyway.
I know, I know.
Yeah, but I think
But
they're feeling this pressure because it's been so anticipated, and I think they'll try to play it as safe as they can
Yeah,
when it comes to the story. So I don't see
it's
them
not
doing their usual stuff.
it's not the story that's the issue because they just copy and paste the story practically. It's if they need to get the gameplay right.
Yeah.
That Silent Hill it too is about the story. The story is fantastic, but it's how oppressive the atmosphere is. It's how the gameplay works into that atmosphere. You can't just have, and Bloober Team aren't bad, but they are very much on the line of walking simulator horror. You can't do that with Silent Hill. You need to have that open. You need to have the open a bit of the openness. You need to have the puzzles. You need to have it where you're figuring out what you're doing, and
There's also some
you
combat.
need to
right?
get the fog and the fog was there in the original just due to the limitations of the
Yeah.
PlayStation. But you need to get that there, and you need to get that right for the oppressive atmosphere. Silent Hill 2 is a miracle of game making. There's so many games that have tried the same and never got it, and so many games will try it. It is a miracle of game making, so it's probably too much to expect them to get it right or to get it the same. So I'm not expecting them to be as good as the original, but as long as they come somewhat close. But again, the only reason it's not included instead of Alan Wake is because it's a remake.
Mhm.
But so yeah, Alan Wake 2 with a massive, massive, massive thinking about Silent Hill 2 because it's one of my favorite games ever made.
So basically, horror game too.
Yeah, yeah.
To
It's, I just
yeah.
don't want them to be shit. I mean,
Well,
I'm even going to
fingers
play
crossed.
Dead Space remake, and I mean, Dead Space never really scared me. It's just it's action horror, but it's got some good horror elements. But I like visceral, pure, like scaring the shit out of your horror. I remember playing
Yeah.
Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and I think I needed to change my underwear about 3 times, and that's even before the monster turned up.
To be fair, I think Alan Wake 2, while they've said it will be their first true survival horror game, I still think it will be more in the vein of something like Dead Space or Resident Evil rather than something like Silent Hill. I mean, it will still be more action than
I think
something like
it'll be. I just think it'll be an improved version of Alan Wake.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe a bit more horror, but still
Yeah.
very much action.
Yeah, and I can live with that as long as it's got some good horror in it. And as flawed as Alan Wake was, I enjoyed it. So yeah.
Okay. Well, as for me, the first one will have to be obviously Starfield, if you know me.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's RPGs
I'll play it.
are my jam, and Starfield so far looks very very interesting based on that demo. It's highly ambitious. We'll have to see how they fare with that procedural generation tech, of course, but
That's my only
it's
real worry about that. I mean, I'm looking forward to Starfield. Again, RPGs have always been my jam as well. Again, Final Fantasy brought me into gaming proper. And then Total War Rome moved me away from just console gaming to being the PC person I am now. So yeah, Starfield is one. Yeah.
it's we'll have to see. There's lots of rumors because Microsoft recently said they are preparing a dedicated show for the game. It will be like the Todd Howard deep dive with half an hour of gameplay probably.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
And we'll see whether it makes the first half release window or not. But yeah, I'm really really hyped for it.
Oh,
And
they've already announced the date of Starfield, though, haven't they?
well, they have said it will be in the first half of the year, but
Yeah, well, yeah.
we'll have to see because basically now at the end of January there will be showcases for Redfall, Forza Motorsport, and a bunch of other games where supposedly they're getting their release dates. But the thinking is that if Starfield is later with its showcase, then it's coming later. And for example, Redfall is basically known to be launching in May. It's basically an open secret at this point. Lots of rumor on that. So if it's May, I don't know. Personally, if I was Microsoft or Bethesda, I wouldn't put Starfield in June because June is like very very busy with with Street Fighter, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy.
They'll do exactly that.
The thing
Why
is,
not?
I sort of get that argument, but at the same time, Starfield isn't a game that needs to worry about that. Starfield will sell no matter. Starfield will just sell.
Of course, it will sell, but maybe it will sell a bit less than it could have if it was.
Things. They're a bit overlapping, I think, with Final Fantasy.
So the thing is, I
mean, completely different games, but I think they just.
Yeah, I'm gonna say there's Diablo, Final Fantasy, and if it does, I mean the first half does extend up until the end of September, so they've got a good range.
Oh,
I don't see a summer release though. That would be weird.
Personally, I think no. I
was gonna say because the first quarter is obviously April to June, so then they've got July, August, September. So would it probably could be a August, September release? Is it getting towards the end of the year?
Personally, I think September makes a lot of sense because there aren't many big releases, except the sports game, but that's an entirely different audience.
The sports game. They're all the same. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I think September can give them a few extra months to hopefully polish a lot of the bugs that will inevitably be there. Yeah. And also give them enough space to make a big splash, because Microsoft, Phil Spencer has said it openly, this needs to be basically the biggest first party game they've made, at least in a long while, this generation for sure. So and it needs to be big.
Yeah. I mean, there's still so many games that have yet to announce a release date, though. So we're still waiting for so much.
Yeah. Well, another game that I'm also anticipating a lot and does have a release date, luckily, as of a few weeks ago, is Baldur's Gate 3. So that's also finally coming out, in full, of course.
Yeah.
It's out in early access, but it's only the Act 1, and I don't think anyone is playing that until, a few people have played it, of course, but most I know. Yeah. But, a lot of the people are like, let's just wait until it's done, to get the full experience. And that's also a very, of course, it's a smaller scale game, but as far as CRPGs go, it may be one of the biggest ever made, if not the biggest, because they've put a lot of work into it. They've, I think, tripled the size of the studio, right?
It was absolutely massive, even in the original part. So, just in the preview when I first tried it. So, yeah.
I think Francesco met with Sven.
The time at D3. Yeah. They were banking a lot on it anyway. You could tell they were just going all in, and I think it shows. From what we've seen so far, it shows they put a lot of care into it. Even when they just released their updates for the early access version, you can tell they're listening. They're listening to the people, and the audience for computer role playing games, it's not that big of an audience, so it makes sense to go with the community. And although I think D&D is bigger than it has ever been at this point. It has become fashionable now to know about D&D.
And also, with Baldur's Gate 3...
But I ignore everything.
Baldur's Gate 3, they have massively improved the presentation, because there are basically lots of cutscenes, voiced and whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas
I have to restart the game then.
Whereas Divinity wasn't nearly as great in that area. And so hopefully it will be great, because I love D&D and I love Forgotten Realms, and so hopefully it's going to be great. And lastly, I'd say, maybe Stalker 2. Hopefully,
Stalker 2. I love the Stalker games.
If they can get it out, hopefully. And we've got a new trailer at the Game Awards. and the developers have said 2023. We don't know when. Of course, it's a big question mark with the whole Ukraine thing going on. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I mean, the game was supposed to launch, initially, I think in April 2022. That was before the war. So, well, they had, said it before the war. Then it got delayed to December 2022, and then again to 2023. But the gist of it is that they are technically done, at least with the content. I think not much is left for sure. So it's just,
I
I
mean,
think, bugs
currently it's
and
just got
polishing.
like on Steam. It's got like a planned release date of December this year. So I don't know. With everything going on, it's just hard to know what will happen. But I'm massively looking forward to it. I've just completely forgot about it, simply due to the fact that
Yeah,
everything.
but yeah,
Stalker's
it's
still one of my favorite games ever made.
yeah, I think it was likely to be the first true open world first-person shooter game they made, and also it's a blend of lots of elements. There are some
Yeah,
RPG
definitely
elements,
horror.
some horror elements, and also at the time, at least with the first one, the AI was great, was very realistic, and it was also great
And
simulation.
if you treat it like any other game, you got murdered. Quite
Yeah,
okay now.
and so yeah, definitely that there's been a lot of stalker type games over the
Yeah,
years, but
none of them have been
except for
Stalker.
except for Metro, which is kind of similar, of course,
Yeah, yeah.
since some of the developers are the same, but it's not quite stalker. So
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, Metro Exodus got the closest it was ever going to get to being Stalker, but I like the earlier Metro games were very well. They were quite linear. They intentionally
yeah,
were that way.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
they were story driven.
yeah, I suppose that. Yeah, there's always a few games that. I mean, what was it? I was looking at I just thought an MMO sort of survival game recently comes out this year. The Day Before. That looks.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a
Yeah.
massive MMO player anymore. I do play them,
Oh,
obviously.
no, yeah, that's also, well, it's one of the most wish listed games of Steam.
Is it?
So it's yeah, it's
I only heard about it
like,
like a week ago.
no, it made a big splash like a couple of years ago when they
Okay.
first released the trailer. The thing is, this developer is almost unknown,
Yeah.
and they've only made a couple of games, and none of them were nearly as big. So, coupled with the fact that most of the videos they've released so far are highly staged, and the community is kind of doubting there is not a real game, but is it really as good as these videos make it look like?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big unknown, but of course, if half of what they've promised is true, then it could be very interesting. Well, I'm doing an interview actually with the developers soon, so hopefully I can bring some news. In theory, it's coming out very soon, March 1st.
Yeah, in March, yeah.
So we'll see if it's delayed again or not. But yeah, there's lots of other. Of course, we've only listed 3 games, but there's lots of other games.
Oh, there's tons of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it looks like definitely could be a better year than 2022. Depending on delays and whatnot, but it could be a bigger year, especially with
Yeah.
lots of the 2022 games were still very much impacted by the pandemic.
Yeah.
So they were delayed into this year, and now they're finally coming out, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's always like little other mentions again when it comes to survival games. The Forest was always good, and the sequel to that's coming out this year as well. Yeah, there's so many games, like you say, far too many games.
Many.
But
Yeah,
we live in, and as much as whatever way you look at it, we live in probably the best time to be a video game player ever.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because, there's some of the greatest games that have ever made have come and gone. Well, naturally, that's how it works, but there's always great games being made all the time. I mean, again, I haven't even mentioned it, but again in February, and in fact, that's another game in February I really want to play, like a Dragonician.
Yeah.
Again, but obviously that's
Too many things.
the
Too many
remake
things.
sort of thing, isn't it? But yeah.
yeah. There's also, of course, there's the new Rocksteady game, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. So
Yeah.
Rocksteady have always made very successful games, so it's going to be an interesting one. Then, of course, there is for Switch fans, there's Zelda, so that's going to be a really big one.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm also very much looking forward to Redfall because I'm a big Arcane fan.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
lots
can
of stuff to
completely
do,
understand that.
lots of stuff to play, and
And I haven't mentioned it, and I've got to give it a final mention before we go, is because it may release, it may not release, but Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
it's not going to release this year.
Oh well. Right.
The question is it ever coming out? That's
Yeah,
the
well,
question.
we'll leave that for another time because I think we've done enough today.
Just one more from Francesco that we haven't said yet. Come on, Francesco.
Quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Well, we talked about it before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that because Team Ninja has always made some great action games, and after Neo and Stranger of Paradise, and I loved both of them. I'm really looking forward to this one, even though it's a bit different from them. It's a little more straightforward on the role-playing game stuff, but the action is good. I tried the demo a couple months ago, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure we'll have something to talk about next week. I'm sure there'll be another acquisition to do.
Or someone complaining about the Microsoft
Yeah.
Activision Blizzard deal.
Right. Well, on that note, I'm going to bugger off because I've got to take young Leela to the vets. Well, get ready. I've got 10 minutes before I need to move, but yeah. So yeah, that's we've covered the best games, upcoming games, and we didn't have to talk much about acquisitions, much to the chagrin of. Right. Anyway, we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.